Hi everybody, this is a help video for IXL assignment BL7, percent of change. So let's go ahead and review how to find the percent of change. Our first step when finding the percent of change is to identify whether this is an increase or a decrease. So let's look at these numbers here. We have percent of change from 14 to 20. Well, since 14 is a smaller number than 20, this is going to be a percent increase because that number went up from our starting or original number to our current number. All right, so now that we know that we're finding percent increase, let's go through the steps to actually solve. First step is find the amount of change by finding the difference between two values. Now, when we think of the word difference, we know that that operation is subtraction. So we're going to subtract these two numbers. 20 minus 14 equals 6. And I'm going to go ahead and put 6 down here in step 3. 6, our difference is actually going to be the numerator of our fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it down there. Our second step is identifying the original value of this problem. So the original value is the number where we started. We started at 14. That is the original value for our problem. And our original value is going to come down here and be our denominator. So based on what we've done so far, our numerator is always going to be the difference between the two numbers that we're working with, and our denominator is going to be our original value. Our fourth step is we're going to go ahead and divide. So when we divide a fraction, 6 over 14, we can rewrite that as 6 divided by 14. And I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator for that. 6 divided by 14 gives us a decimal of 0.428, and we're going to round that last number to a 6. So now we have a decimal version, and our very final step is to convert this decimal into a percentage. Now, in order to convert a decimal into a percentage, we're going to move that decimal point to the right 2 spaces. So 0.4286, move that decimal point to the right. That gives us a percentage of 42.86%. So if we want to talk about what is the percent of change from 14 to 20, that would be a 42.86% increase. Let's go ahead and go over another example problem right now. Here's another one. We have for find the percent of change. We're going to find the percent of decrease from 30 to 18. So again, our starting number there is 30. Then our new number is 18. So we know that this is a percent decrease. Now, the nice thing about these is it doesn't really matter if you're finding increase or decrease. Their steps are exactly the same. So our very first step there, we're going to find the difference between these two numbers. 30 minus 18. The difference there is 12. Our second step, identifying that original value. Again, that's where our starting point was. So our starting point was 30. We're going to use the formula for change. So the difference that we find is our numerator. The original value is our denominator. Fourth step, divide 12 divided by 30. And again, just going to use my calculator for that. 12 divided by 30 is 0.4. Final step, I'm converting that decimal that I just solved, that I just calculated. So converting that decimal into a percentage, I'm going to move my decimal point 2 spaces 1, 2. Now, if I have an empty space when I'm moving my decimal point, I am going to fill that in with a 0. So 0.4 converted into a percentage is 40%. All right, so as you can see, whether I'm finding percent increase or percent decrease, my steps are exactly the same. So I'm going to clear this out and we're going to go to IXL to solve some problems together. All right, so here is our IXL assignment. And you can find this IXL assignment by typing in BL7. And I will zoom this in just a little bit so you can see it better. So we're doing BL7 percent of change. What is the percent of change from 500,000 to 200,000? So again, the first thing we want to identify here is this an increase or a decrease? Well, if I'm starting at 500,000 and I'm ending at 200,000, this is going to be a decrease. So that's my first battle. That means I can cross off this one and this one because going from 500,000 and 200,000 definitely cannot be an increase. So now I'm just down to 2 answer options. We're going to go ahead and solve. That first step, find the difference between our 2 numbers. 500,000 minus 200,000 gives us an answer of 300,000. That's step 1, identifying that numerator by finding the difference. Step 2 is identifying the original number. So our starting point was 500,000. That's our original number. That is our denominator. Third step, divide. 300,000 divided by 500,000. 300,000 divided by 500,000 is 0.6. My final step is converting this decimal to a percentage. Now, again, very important, when we're moving this decimal space, we have to move it 2 times. 1, 2, plot our point, and any empty spot, we're going to fill in with a 0. That's very important. So 0.6 equals 60%. And we already identified that was a decrease. So the percent of change from 500,000 to 200,000 is a 60% decrease. And we got it right. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do the next one. What is the percent of change from 500,000 to 600,000? So again, let's identify 500,000 to 600,000. This is going to be an increase. I can get rid of this one and this one. Let's go ahead and solve. I'm going to subtract those 2 numbers. 600,000 divided by, or 600,000 minus 500,000 is 100,000. And that's the numerator of our fraction. Second step is identifying that original value. The original value being 500,000. My next step is to divide these. So I take that numerator and I divide by the denominator, and that gives me a decimal of 0.2. Final step, I'm converting this decimal to a percent. Again, moving that decimal space 2 spaces. 0.2 equals 20%. So the percent of change from 500,000 to 600,000 is a 20% increase. And let's do one more together. What is the percent of change from 100 to 83? Again, first step, let's identify. If we start at 100 and we land at 83, this is decreasing. So I can get rid of anything that says percent increase. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve. First step, finding the difference between our two numbers. 100 minus 83 gives us a numerator of 17. Second step, identifying the original value. Our starting point was 100. That's our original value. That is our denominator. Third step, we're going to divide. 17 divided by 100 gives us a decimal of 0.17. And last step, converting our decimal to a percentage. Moving that decimal point 2 spaces, 0.17 equals 17%. So again, what is the percent of change from 100 to 83? We know that that is going to be a 17% decrease. All right, guys, so that was just working through a few of these problems. Remember, your goal for your SMART score is to get around an 80 SMART score. If you need help, please be sure to attend help sessions, email your teachers, or watch this video for extra assistance, okay? I know you can do it, and have a great day.